Welcome, friends, to this new session. Today is going to be our last challenge for the intermediate session. I want to say great job, guys, and just stay tuned. We're going to be focusing today on sequels exist and not exist. I know some of you may have used it before, some of you may have had to use it but not really quite understand well, and some of you this might be the first time you have been introduced to this particular commands. Whichever is the case, or some of you just need a refresher, whichever is the case, let's get into it. All right. So the use case here is that the business needs to identify customers whose purchase behavior qualifies or disqualifies them for targeted programs. Isolate customer who have placed orders as well as customer with no order activity. These segments are essential for campaigns such as re-engagement, first purchase, incentives, and cross-sell opportunities. Now, your action is to use exist and not exist queries to generate precise customer list based on defined purchasing criteria. Deliver the resulting segment as ready to activate audience files for marketing, retention, and cross-sell initiatives. Guys, let's quickly look at what data we need. For sure, we are dealing with orders. Definitely, we need the order table, and also because we're interested in customers that placed order and the ones that have never purchased anything yet, and so we're gonna also look at the customers table. And then we have some output here for you guys, so you can feel free to use this as a guide to be able to come up with your own solution. All right, and I believe that's it. Let's go back to our lab and let's get things started. All right, now the first table we're interested in, let's first see the number of customers that we actually have. So we're going to pull the customer table. So the customer is right here in the schema, so we're going to pull that in the sales schema. So let's run that so we see what our table look like. We are only interested in this case for customer ID and account number. So let's only pull those two attributes. So we have customer ID and then account number, right? So account number. All right, and then let's run that again. Beautiful guys. And so with this, then we need to know, okay, how do we determine whether a customer has placed an order or not? So what we need to do is then to have a where clause and say exist. All right, and I'm going to explain the concept of exist in a minute, but let's just follow accordingly. Select, you can actually use star, some people use one, it's fine. Just make sure that it works as you expect it. All right, so now let's pull in the sales order header here, and so any customer that appears in this table would definitely mean that they have placed an order. Okay, and that's what we're going to use to be able to check whether a customer has placed an order or not. So for now, let's have an alias here, call it cost, and then here let's have a where clause, and that says where, and let's call this order ORD, and then we'll now say cost dot customer ID. We're just going to pull that from here, equals to odd dot customer ID. All right, so let's run that, make sure it's successful. Beautiful guys. So what we are looking for here, just to be very clear, is that the exist work basically behind the scene as a boolean, so true or false, 1 or 0. Okay, now how does it work? So basically you can see we are referencing the customer ID from the customer table, and then we are checking it against the order table. So basically what it's going to do here is that it's going to pass all the values in customer ID, check with this order table, and if you find any record, it could be more than one record. If you find any record, it's going to say yes, that is true, and then it's going to pull the corresponding record in this particular table, customer table, and that tells us that actually they placed an order. So that's really how it works. Okay, now and not exist work almost the same way, but just the opposite. Just check for what is not, right? But we'll talk about that later. So that's really how they exist. Well, I hope you get it. Now let's look for a way. At this point in time, you should be able to um, check your answers and also have multiple solutions for a particular problem. And then when you have multiple solutions, then you go with the most robust, most elegant. Okay, so now here you're gonna just say we're gonna call this one exist customer, and then we're just gonna put that in a CTE. We already know what CTE is, all right? And then we just want to see other ways we can actually solve this same problem, okay? And then we're gonna say exist imitate. We're gonna create another column just to simulate other ways we can solve the same problem. Maybe the other way is actually more elegant, but just for the purpose of this video, we're just focusing on exist, right? So, but let's look at the other way. The other way we can use here is to use the inner join, okay? And you already know how the inner join works, so I'm just gonna pull exactly what I have here, drop it right here, and then exactly what we have here, put it in the on operation, and then we'll just drop it there, okay? And then what we're gonna do here is that we're first of all going to run and check the total rows here is 19119, right? And so we're going to make sure, just check to make sure that we get the same value, okay? So we're going to drop that here from, and then drop it, right? And then we'll say okay, so at this point we need to specify this guy, because then it doesn't know what to select from, okay? That should be okay. We need to specify count as well. Let's do that, dot, and then we're just gonna run that, and beautiful. And you can see it's returning more values. Now the reason is because there will be duplicate in the other table at the customer level, so we're just gonna add the distinct here, all right? And then we're gonna run that. Awesome, guys, you can see we have the same value. Now another way to really be sure is then to use your exist command, okay? So let's say we just I'll show you how that works. Just another way to check, because at this point you must be able to comfortably check your data. So we're going to do except command, and then we're going to just put in this particular city, all right? And then you're just going to use that to check, because they are the same number of columns. So what we expect is that they should match one another and we should get no value. If that is the case, that means it's the same solution, it returns the same result, okay? Now beautiful, you can see it just worked quite well. All right, so that's really how the exist work. Let's quickly look at not exist, which is going to be very similar to what we have here. So we're just going to copy exactly what we have here, and then we're going to put that in another city and just drop that, and then change the name, so because we can't have the same name, not exist. And the other thing we're going to drop here is that we're going to do not exist, okay? All right, now that we have done this, right, guys, pay attention. All right, so we're gonna just drop copy and paste this one right here, and then here we're just gonna refer to this city, okay? So we're gonna refer to the city, all right, and then we're just gonna drop that here, and then you can see we have 701. Beautiful, guys. If you go back to that solution, you can just order by one, and you should see the same value, okay? Order by one. Oh, I didn't put by, and you should see the same value pretty much, okay? I think we did it in descending order, and then you should see the same value right there, okay? If you check with your solution we had, you should see the same value, okay? Now let's see other ways we can solve the same problem without using not exist. There are a couple of ways, but I'm just going to show you some of those methods based on what we already covered so far, okay? Now let me quickly do that. All right, so we're gonna do all right, so let's quickly do that. Just give me 1 second here, okay? All right, so let's quickly run through that. Okay, now what we're gonna do here is that we can use the except functionality as well, right? How do we do that? So let's say we want to just imitate. I'm just gonna copy. Let me copy this. Okay, we're just gonna say not exist. All right, and then we're gonna say as, and then we're just gonna basically pull this guy right here. Okay, and this is a very straightforward solution. So yeah, we're gonna, so basically what this will pull is gonna pull all the customer we have in the customer table, which is fine. And then we're not gonna say except, and then we're gonna just drop this exist imitation, right? So basically just give me 1 second. So basically we are saying that if it does exist in this particular table, don't return that. Otherwise, return every other thing that doesn't exist, right? So basically everything here, but not in this table. And that's just a kind of a minus. And it should return exactly what we have in exist, okay? All right, so let's quickly run that. We're gonna say select star from, and then we're just gonna run this, okay? And then run, and you should see 701 works perfectly. Now are there other ways we can do this one particular one? I'll show you one more method and then we'll wrap up the video. Okay, so let's do that. I'm gonna just copy and then paste here, and then I'll call this 2. All right, and then so what we're gonna do is that here we're just gonna do the join again. So we have a join here, so we're gonna, no, we don't really need a join actually. So we don't need a join. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a where clause actually. So we're gonna do a where clause, where customer ID not in, and then we'll pull that in a nested query. Okay, so basically gonna say, all right, and then we can just delete this guy. All right, and then we can, okay, so we just reference customer ID. Okay, so let me copy and paste. So basically we are saying that in this, look for this, if this customer doesn't exist yet, then return the value, right? And that's exactly what we are doing here. So we're just going to switch this over to 2, and then we run that, and you can see we get exactly the same thing. So you can see we, with not exist, we're able to see 2 other ways we can solve the same problem. And then I can tell you for sure we have other ways as well I can solve the same problem. So at this point you begin to realize, oh, I'm being empowered so much that I can solve one challenge multiple ways. Then the question is, which one is more efficient, right? And then you go with that. All right, I hope you've really learned a lot here. I want to say thank you so much for watching. We still have many more in the advance, and you will definitely enjoy yourself as you follow through to the end. Thank you, and I will see you in the next session.